Hi students, very good morning all. Welcome back to Sri Ramanuja Vidya Mandir. Students, I have completed the lesson name Diversity in the Living Organisms. So, I want to give a single class I want to give synopsis about this class, students. Diversity in the Living Organisms. So, let us start today's class. Diversity in living organisms. Students, there are n number of living creatures are there in the world that you know very well. Basing on the their characteristics, here the living organisms were classified into different types. Actually, students, basically there are two different things in the nature, biotic and the abiotic components. Biotic means all the things which have the life will come under biotic, whereas the organism, the things which are not having the life, like for example water, land, soil, all will come under the abiotic components. Existence of both biotic as well as abiotic things are very important for the survival. The main reason is that abiotic components simply that supports the life on the earth. Okay, so simply they are supporting the life on the earth. So let us talk about the biodiversity. I said no. So in this way there are different living creatures in the nature. So they are depending upon the one another for the purpose of the food, for purpose of the living gases and all. Okay, so there is a mutual understanding is there among all the living creatures in the nature. Actually, first let us talk about the diversity. What do you mean by the diversity? The variations in the living organisms. So like let us take the example of human. So human beings are very well developed, highly advanced organisms than the other organisms. Let us take a small ant. It is very small in size. The internal structural organization also very small when compared to the structure of a human being. Let us take a plant. So completely different. A plant is having different structure and different characteristics, whereas animal is having the different structure and the different characteristics. So there are n number of similarities as well as the dissimilarities there among the different living creatures. What are the similarities, students? Shall I say? Similarities means presence of the cell. Every living creature is having the fundamental microscopic unit is known as cell. So cell is the common unique feature for every living creature. So cells are present in all the living creatures such as animals, plants and the microorganisms. So cell is the fundamental basic subunit which is present in the each and every living creature. Okay, actually students, what is the importance of the classification? Why the organism should divide into different types, different classes? What is the reason? Actually, to make the study so easy. Okay, to make the study so easy, so our scientists, they were classified the organisms into different things. Okay, different varieties. See students, classification of living creature. Here first we have to talk about the Mr. Carolus Linnaeus. He classified the organisms into different types and he gave the binomial nomenclature to the every living creature in the nature. So what do you mean by giving a name to the every living creature is? What is the importance? Actually students, it is very important for every living thing that, see, a mango is there. Okay, mango is a fruit. You know very well. So in English we'll call it as a mango. In Telugu, Mamidi Pandu, and in Hindi we'll call it as aam. So in our India, so there are three different languages are there, like Telugu and Hindi and English, and of course there are many languages are there. So fruit is same, but people are calling with different names. Okay, so just to avoid the little bit of confusion among the about the naming and all, so our scientist Linnaeus, he gave the a particular name to the every living thing. See, classification of every living things, all the living organisms are classified into groups based on their basic shade, characteristics. Organisms with each group are then further divided into smaller groups. This grouping system makes it easier for scientists to study the certain groups of organism. So this process of classification makes every person to study about every living creature. It makes so easy. Okay, so not only they were classified the things, and they also gave the a basic name to the every living creature, that is the binomial nomenclature. First let us talk about the linear system of classification. See here in the linear system of classification, so here the organism is giving, and there are how many 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 levels of organizations are there, classifications are there. So the first one is kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and the species. So species is the fundamental unit of the classification. Species is followed by the genus, and the genus is followed by the family. Then order, class, phylum, kingdom comes. Right? So first let us talk about, just I introduced about the binomial nomenclature. So this see, binomial nomenclature means giving a name to the giving the standard name to the every living creature. A binomial nomenclature, but here this was given by the Mr. Linnaeus. So he gave just two-word name to every living creature. The word nomenclature is derived from the two Latin words nomen, which means name, and the clare means to call. So it means that it is called me name. It can be defined as system which is responsible for the giving name to the organisms is called nomenclature. Okay. And first our Linnaeus, he classified all the living organisms into two different types. Okay. Plantae and Animalia. Plantae and Animalia. So students, under Plantae, algae, fungi, bacteria, bryophytes, pteridophytes, spermatophytes he kept. And under Animalia, coelenterates, porifera, platyhelminthes, mollusca, and nematohelminthes, annelids, echinodermata, and chordata he divided. Actually, Plantae, as you all know, that all the plant cells are having the eukaryotic cells. Okay, they are multicellular organisms, eukaryotic and multicellular. So this is the common feature among the both plant and animal kingdom, but a small difference is there. See, what is that? Presence of cell wall. Cell wall is present in our plant kingdom, whereas cell wall is absent in the kingdom Animalia. And this is the first difference. And the second difference is that, students, so here the plant kingdom used to follow autotrophic mode of nutrition, whereas kingdom Animalia, they used to follow heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Heterotrophic mode of nutrition means, as you know very well, students, what do you mean by autotrophic and the heterotrophic? Here in the case of autotrophic, so organism can able to synthesize its own food material by the process of photosynthesis, whereas in the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, they can't synthesize their food material, so they has to depend upon the other organisms for the purpose of the food and the survival. So that's the reason our animals used to follow the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. These are the basic differences among the animals and the plants we can find, students. Let us see next is the standard classification is given by Mr. Robert Whittaker and 5 kingdom classifications. Actually, this Whittaker classified all the organisms into 5 types. Okay, the first one is Monera and Protista. Students, I have discussed everything in the class detail, but I want now I'm giving a single class, right? So I'm going a little bit faster. Animalia. Okay, so Monera, Protista, Plantae, fungi and the Animalia. See students, first of all he divided the organisms basing on their type of cell. Okay, you know very well. So cells are of 2 types. Every living creature is having 2 different types of cells. Eukaryotic cells and the prokaryotic cells. Prokaryotic means primitive, eukaryotic means advanced. So on what basis they were divided the cells, students? On the basis of the presence of nuclear envelope around the nucleus. So for example, this is the cell and at the center it is having the nucleus. If the nucleus is surrounded by the nuclear envelope, that is eukaryotic cell. If the nucleus is not surrounded by any kind of envelope, if it is having the naked DNA, that is prokaryotic cell. So basing on the type of cell, first of all our Whittaker classified the organisms into 2 different types. What are those? Prokaryotes and the eukaryotes. So and under prokaryotes he kept the Monera. Okay, Moneras are the primitive organisms. They are mostly unicellular and prokaryotic cells. Next, again he classified the eukaryotic organisms into again 2 types basing on the presence of number of cell. If the organism is having 1 cell, it is unicellular. If the organism has having more than 1, so it will come under multicellular. Under unicellular he placed Protista. And so again he classified the multicellular into 2 different types basing on the presence of cell wall. So if the cell has to surrounded by some layer that is cell wall, right? So again basing on the cell wall, students, under cell wall they were classified into prototrophic and heterotrophic. So phototrophic are plants, whereas heterotrophic are fungi. So both here the plant and fungi both are covered by the cell wall, but there is a small difference. What is the difference? Plant can synthesize a food, whereas fungi cannot synthesize the food. Okay, basing on this aspect they were classified again into plant and our fungi. And so here the cell without the cell wall is animals. So animal cell is not covered by any cell. So simply they'll follow the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So this is the 5 kingdom classification given by Whittaker. And see students, organisms are placed in the 5 kingdom based on the least 3 major criteria: cell type and eukaryotic, levels of organization, solitary and the colonial, unicellular and the multicellular, nutritional type, students, ingestive, absorptive and photoautotrophic. See students, we have seen kingdom Monera contains prokaryotic organisms, kingdom Protista contains eukaryotic, multicellular, either solitary cells or the colonies. Solitary means they are stable organisms, they will be fixed to the certain surface. Okay. And kingdom Animalia contains multicellular animals with cell wall, cell wall is not present here. And kingdom Plantae multicellular, which they are having the cell wall, eukaryotic cells, photoautotrophic. And next one is fungi, eukaryotic, multinucleate, often it is having the mycelium. Okay. Next, let us move on to the 5 kingdom classification, students. So let us see about the Monerans. Monera, it is having unicellular prokaryotes. Nutrition is absorptive or photosynthetic. How they'll move? They'll move with the help of the flagellae. And reproduction, mostly they used to follow the asexual mode of nutrition. The well-known example under 5 kingdom classification is bacteria, cyanobacteria, blue-green algae. And let us talk about the Protista. Okay, the well-known example. So they are nothing but the protozoans. Unicellular eukaryotics. Nutrition absorptive photosynthetic. Movement, so they can move by using flagellae, cilia, or by means of streaming. Reproduction, both asexual and the sexual. And well-known examples are phytoplanktons and the zooplanktons. Next, fungi, multicellular eukaryotics, cell structure chitinous cell wall. The cell wall is surrounded by chitin, and the nutrition is heterotrophic, absorptive, and saprophytic mode of nutrition. Movement, they are non-motile. They won't move from one place to other place. Action, both sexual and the asexual. Well-known example, yeast, moulds, and the mushrooms. Let us see about the next one. So plant kingdom, cell structure is cellulosic cell wall is having, made up of plastids, or they used to follow autotrophic mode of nutrition, non-motile. Their reproduction is both the types, asexual and the sexual reproduction. Well-known examples, students, algae, bryophytes, ferns, gymnosperms, and multicelled eukaryotic cells. Kingdom Animalia, so cell structure without the cell wall, so without the plastids. Heterotrophic mode of nutrition, highly motile, they can move from one place to other place. Both asexual and the sexual mode of nutrition is there. Sponges, invertebrates, vertebrates, and the multicelled eukaryotics. So this is about the 5 kingdom classification, students. So let us talk about the kingdom Plantae. Plant cells are eukaryotic multicellular, cell wall is made up of cellulose and the autotrophic mode of nutrition. So students, keep in your mind that plant cell is surrounded by the cell wall. Plant cell is surrounded by the cell wall. Okay, and this cell wall is absent in the animal cell. Presence of cell wall is the unique feature for only plant cell, and not only cell wall, and it is just having the plastids also. Plastids are of different types, many types. And chloroplast, due to the presence of chloroplast only, our plant can synthesize the food, okay, by the process of photosynthesis. They will be taking the carbon dioxide, water, and in the presence of sunlight, they will be converting those two ingredients into the carbohydrates. So this is about the kingdom Plantae. Again, under plant kingdom, we are going to learn about further different types. Okay, bryophytes, pteridophytes, spermatophyta. Plant kingdom under Plantae, again divided, students. Bryophytes, so these are known as amphibians of the plant kingdom, non-oscular. So simply the basic structure is present in the bryophytes. So there is no vascular system in the bryophyte. Next, pteridophyte, true root, stem, and the leaves. Students, here in the bryophyte, they are not having the external structures as the roots and stem, but in the pteridophytes, they are having the true root, stem, and the leaves, and the vascular tissues are present. And spermatophyta, seed producing vascular tissues are present. You just observe the differences among the bryophytes, pteridophytes, and the spermatophyta. The plant kingdom is divided into 3: bryophytes, pteridophytes, and spermatophyta. Again, the spermatophyta mean the seed producing plants, divided into 2 more types: gymnosperms and the angiosperms. Gymnosperms means they are here the naked seeded plants. Seeds are not enclosed by ovary. So seeds are without any proper covering. Gymnosperms. And angiosperms, seeds are enclosed in the ovary wall. So seeds are supposed to have the cover. And under angiosperms, it is again divided into dicotyledons and the monocotyledons. So basing on if the embryo with the 2 cotyledons means dicot, and if the embryo with the single cotyledon means monocot. So angiosperms are divided into monocots and the dicots. And next, animal kingdom. So students, here the kingdom Animalia, again we have further different types. So invertebrates and the vertebrates. So invertebrates also known as non-chordates, and vertebrates are nothing but the chordates. See students, cellular level, tissue level, organ system level. So basing on the presence of cell, they were classified into two types, like porifera, cnidaria, tissue levels, organ system. First let us see, students, here in the animals were classified into different types on the basis of different things. First, kingdom Animalia divided into two: cellular level, tissue level. Means, so the levels of organization, if the organization stops at cell level, means poriferans, and tissue level, organ system, rest all will come, like ciliatrates, platyhelminthes, escalmenthes, annelids, all will come. Like again basing on the symmetry. So basing on the symmetry, radial and the bilateral. If the organism supposed to divide into equal parts by cutting the organism in any plane, is nothing but the radial symmetry. If it is bilateral, if we'll cut the organism into different two equal halves in a single plane, that is bilateral symmetry. Right. So basing on this aspect, they were classified into, like, radial symmetry is followed by the ciliatrates and the ctenophora, Nematyhelminthes. Again, see, bilateral, platyhelminthes, escalmenthes, and all chordates will come under bilateral. And basing on the body cavity, it's nothing but the coelom. Like, see, basing on the coelom, again they were classified, students. The organism which is having the coelom are called coelomates, which is not having the coelom is called acoelomates. If the organism is having the false coelom, is called pseudocoelomates. Like the without body cavity, platyhelminthes, and with false coelom, escalmenthes, like nothing but the pseudocoelomates. With true coelom, all will come, like annelids, arthropods, molluscus, and echinodermata, hemichordates, chordates will come. Okay, so basing on the levels of organization, here the animals were divided, and basing on the symmetry, animals were divided, and basing on the presence of body cavity or the coelom, animals were divided. So that's the reason I'm saying that here animals are divided into different categories basing on their different characteristics possessed by the organism. Next, see, let us talk about the poriferas. These are the well-known examples of porifera. Okay, Spongella, Euspongia, Cycon. And so the main important feature which I want to tell about the poriferans are, they are the sedentary organisms. So they are sedentary, they are having the pores on their surface of their body. Through these pores only, here the organism can able to eat the food and can able to carry out the process of nutrition. In the same way, it can exchanges the gases, that is nothing but the respiration, and the excretion also carried out by these pores only. Mostly these are marine organisms. They live in the water. Next, students, ciliatrates. These are also known as cnidarians, and they are sedentary, students, and but they'll show some kind of movements with the help of the tentacles. So they'll be having the mouth, and so gastrovascular cavity is present. The presence of gastrovascular cavity is the main unique feature, and it is having the epidermis. Okay, and these tentacles acting like they're like a small hair-like projections with helps for the movement. Next, platyhelminthes. So why it has got that name platy? So here the organism supposed to flat from top to bottom. So the well-known example which we'll study under this is tapeworm, liver fluke, planaria. Okay, tapeworm, liver fluke, planaria are the well-known examples of tapeworm, platyhelminthes. And nematodes, mostly they used to live as a parasitic kind of mode of nutrition. They don't eat raw meat, and heavy infestation can cause by anemia and retardation. Okay, so the common name is roundworms, cylindrical shaped. So they'll be cylindrical in shape. Next, phylum annelids. So under annelids we are going to learn about the earthworms, leeches and all. So these are the hermaphrodites, bisexual organisms. So in the single individual only both the sex organs are present, like both female and the male sex organs are present in the single individual, basing on the presence of the reproductive organs. Again here the animals are classified into two types, unisexual and the bisexual. Unisexual means here the organism just supposed to have either female reproductive system or male reproductive system. Example, human. Okay, humans are unisexual. So when we'll talk about the earthworm, they are bisexual. It's also known as hermaphrodite. So here the earthworm is having the both the sex organs. And the next, arthropodans. So the largest phylum of the animal kingdom is arthropods. Okay. And so it's different kinds of insects, houseflies, everything will come under this category, like ants, everything, millipedes, headlouse, centipedes, tiger beetles, mosquitoes, all will come under this category. Next, molluscas. And so mostly these are shelled organisms. They'll be having the protected shell and they can protect themselves from their enemies, like or from their predators. Well-known examples are octopus. Next, phylum Echinodermata. The word echino means spines, dermata means skin. So here we can see the presence of small spine-like structures over the surface of the body of our echinoderms. So simply the main purpose of this presence of the spine-like things are for the protection, students. Echinodermata. And finally chordates. And again here the classified into vertebrates were classified basing on the presence of, students, notochord. Actually here the chordates are divided into two types. Okay, non-chordata and chordates. Here so there is a notochord is present, is later on developed into vertebral column. It's also known as backbone or the back support. So here vertebrates again divide into agnatha and gnathostomata basing on jaws. Here the mouth is present, but in the case of agnatha they are not having the jaws. It is just having the circular mouth, and gnathostomata it bears jaws. And so under gnathostomata we are going to learn about just cyclostomata. Only single class is there under the agnatho, that is cyclostomata. And under gnathostomata we are going to learn about the piscis and the tetrapods. Piscis means all the fishes which bears fins. So with the help of fins and tail only a fish can easily swim in the water. Okay, so under this class chondrichthyes and osteichthyes. Chondrichthyes means they'll be having the soft bone, that is cartilage in its fishes, and the osteichthyes means they'll be having the hard bone, that is osteichthyes. And tetrapods means they'll be having the four limbs. That's the reason the name is tetrapods. Under this we are going to learn about amphibia, reptilia, aves and the mammalia. See students, amphibians means they which can live in the, like all frogs and turtles will come under our amphibia. Okay, students, here so the reason is that this amphibia frog, let us talk about the frog. Frog is having the two types of respiratory organs, skin and as well as the lungs. So when frog is to live in the, when it is living in the water, it respires with the help of the skin. When it is living in the, living on the land, it respires with the help of lungs. If the organism carries out the process of respiration with the help of the lungs, means pulmonary respiration. If it carries out the respiration with the help of skin, is known as cutaneous respiration. Next, reptilia. Reptilia means all the creeping organisms will come under, like snakes, lizards, all will come under the reptilia. And the apes, birds, all the flying organisms, they'll be having the hollow hollow bones. So with the presence of these hollow bones, so when they're flying, so their weight become very light. And next, mammals. So these mammals are having the mammary glands. The organisms which are having the mammary glands will come under this category. So here students, here organism used to feed their babies with the help of mammary gland. And the kangaroos all will come under mammals. Organisms which are having the mammary gland, so with the help of the mammary glands are nothing but the milk producing glands. Milk producing glands. So they'll feed their babies with the help of these glands. Understand? So that's all for today, and I hope I covered all the points which I have discussed in the diversity in the living organisms. Students, only one suggestion I want to give. With this, I'm going to close this today's lecture. Students, classification seems to be somewhat dry topic, but it plays very crucial role in the examinations, even in the competitive examinations. Students, when you want to appear any competitive exam, you should be confident, and you should attain perfection at the tough topics only. Then only you can achieve success. You can get the good rank in the competitive examinations. So simple topics everybody can read and everybody can attend the questions. But whenever you are having the proper clarity and grip over tough topics, then only you will be a topper in any exam. So understand this. First of all, keep this basic concept in your mind, and from the initial stage itself, start learning with the clarity. Okay, don't get confused, students. So what I'll suggest is that you just read and practice until you attain a clarity on a concerned topic. Okay, simply there are some people, they used to suggest you that read these many times or write that many times, so definitely you will get a perfection. No, not that. So when you just keep on practicing, you keep on reading the particular thing until you'll get a clarity over the concept. Understand? It may some concepts may require 2 times reading, or some concepts may require 10 times reading to enter in your brain. Okay, that is the main. Understand? So you just do hard work until you get a clarity over a particular concept. Thank you all. Thank you so much.